The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another recap episode of the Phixated podcast. I am your host, Mike Azzolina, and I am joined by a guy who's feeling pretty positive right now, joining me in that emotion. Regz, buddy, it's 11:50. We're recording about 2 hours earlier than we did last night. Right. How you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling just fine. I'm not panicking. There's a few things that I have concerns about, which we'll discuss. But overall, just like every other series, we've done what we had to do. We split away in the first two games, and now we're going to go back to a real World Series stadium. And that is my thinking. There is no pessimistic, regs at this point. I am all in, ready for this team to just absorb the juju of CBP and get right back on track.
Right. I heard Frank Thomas say after the game that Houston, what an atmosphere Houston has. Frankie, baby.
Gee,
Frankie.
You've been in Citizens Bank Park, Frank.
Yeah, man. You know what. Now, granted, there's how many Astro fans standing in front of him as he says that. But we know what Philadelphia is going to be like on Monday night. I don't think the Astros know.
No,
I don't think they have any idea what it's going to be. I don't want to be Kyle Tucker standing in right field on Monday evening. I don't know that I want to be any of those guys on Monday evening. And again, this is a really good baseball team that the Phillies are playing, so there's no guarantees. Let's start with the concerns though, because obviously this tonight was different. It did, watching what we watched in the first inning didn't feel normal by any stretch. And so let's start there. Obviously, the concern coming out of the first two games is Nola and Wheeler. 10 runs, 9 earned in those two starts. And, I think we'll just focus, I guess, on Wheeler for right now. And the ball just didn't look explosive tonight out of his hand, and that's the concern for me.
You saw it with the velocity too, right? All his past postseason games, he was coming out hitting 98 in his first couple innings. And then it would dip expectedly, which was fine. But tonight he was starting at 96, and it eventually dropped all the way down to 94, which is just not... I think Larry Anderson said it best. He's like, that's just not Zach Wheeler. That's not Zach Wheeler. In his little press scrum afterwards, he said his knee is fine. He chalked it up to just being. Listen, this guy's never pitched into a World Series.
Yeah, a lot of innings.
Neither is Aaron Nola. You know what I mean? These guys have never pitched this late.
Yep.
These guys have never pitched into November.
Yep.
It's different. The way you have to manage your adrenaline is different. The way you have to prepare, I'm sure, is different. These guys have been going for a long time. I know Wheeler was hurt a little bit, so had a little more downtime than Nola. But I think, unfortunately, we're just seeing two guys who have never been in this situation before. And as much as we have faith in them, and Wheeler kind of did turn it back around. Like we said, Nola had that big shutdown inning the other night to really keep them in it. Wheeler did eventually settle down and start getting outs, not in his typical way, but ground ball here, fly out there, double play here. Not his typical overpowering stuff. And like you discussed before, this team still fought. We had the potential tying run coming up in the next batter, in the bottom of the ninth against their closer. So, it is what it is. It's never a good scenario to barely win your first game with your supposed best pitcher and then keep losing when your ace pitches. So I'm not too happy about that. But this team has shown, right, as you said it so perfectly in a text message, this was the Atlanta game 2, like all over again. A Wheeler game where he gives up some just weird runs. They come out and hit 3 doubles in a row. We haven't seen guys get hits off Wheeler in the top of the first in a while. It was just one of those nights. Houston is a good team. I think we all can have like happy thoughts of sweeping them, but I think if we're all very realistic with ourselves, it wasn't going to happen. They're just too good of a baseball team. So we did what we did what we had to do. Now we get to go back to a real World Series stadium and play at home where we are currently undefeated. And I think our offense is still doing enough that they haven't lost faith. Like these guys haven't lost confidence in themselves.
No, so let me touch on Wheeler here real quickly. What the concern I have for Wheeler is the velocity is where it was for most of the year when he seemed like pedestrian is probably not the right word, but just below his norm. And he came back, the forearm was bothering him, so they gave him like a month, and then he came back and he was pumping 98, 99 consistently. And I feel like we're probably entering a territory where the forearm's either bothering him, or he's got some kind of dead arm right now, and they're going to need him again. Like I look, I'm realistic. Do I want to be sitting there on Wednesday night with the potential to win this thing? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think that's going to be the case? No, I don't. I think in some capacity, when I go on Wednesday, it's a 2-2 series, and Nola's going to have to be good.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to go back to Houston 3-2 or leading 3-2 because it's just the way it's going to be. I think Wheeler's going to have another start. I just don't see, as much as I think Citizens Bank is going to be rocking and it's going to be very difficult to win. And I predicted in 5. I'll still stand by it. But I do anticipate it's not going to be as easy as that.
Yeah.
They're going to need Wheeler in some way, shape, or form again in this series. And it concerns me just a little bit now that velocity looked the way that it looked with the extra day of rest.
Yeah.
But we'll wait and see. I'm glad to hear it's not the knee. But I do think there might be some, repetitive stuff from what had happened before. I agree with you about the offense too. The offense was a little troublesome at times tonight early against Framber, who we talked about. I mean, Framber Valdez is a very good pitcher. Got one of the highest spin rates in baseball. The confusing thing to me is I don't understand how it's so much higher, and I think we might have seen a reason why tonight during the game. But we're not going to dig into that too much. I think
you can look into it by yourselves if you want to.
Yeah,
this podcast,
I tweeted a couple of things.
This podcast official stand is, it is what it is. They lost the game fair and square. They were 6 inches away from a lot of momentum coming back. It was just one of those nights. And if that's how that particular pitcher feels he needs to pitch against this team to beat him, fantastic. Got him right where we want him.
So you mentioned before that I had said Atlanta 2.0, and I just want to run through the reasons why it feels that way. That Atlanta game, it just felt like nothing was going to go right.
Yeah.
We kind of won the game 1 similarly in Atlanta. In the NLDS, if you remember, we jumped out really quickly, but Ranger couldn't throw a strike to save his life, and they hung around, and so like just almost in an improbable way, right?
Well, yeah, Olsen with the 3-run home run, right, bottom of the 9th, yeah,
and then Castellanos made the same exact catch that he made. So like as similar as game 1 was in some ways, game 2 is the same way. So, Wheeler was dominant in Atlanta. I mean, just absolutely dominant in Atlanta. But there was that big air that led to, just a couple of bleeders. Now, they did not hit bleeders off of him in the first tonight. They jumped all over him. They were super aggressive against him. But then there was an air. And, we went back and forth in a text a little bit. You said, oh, come on, Mundo. But I get it. He babied the throw, and he certainly babied the throw. But that's a pick that every first baseman in that belongs in Major League Baseball makes. And I am a Rhys Hoskins defender. I will always defend Rhys. But that pick has to be made. We actually saw Gurriel make a far more difficult pick. We saw Rhys make a far more difficult pick later in the game. So I don't know if he just assumed or what. But again, it's still 2-0 getting out of the first inning. But 2-0 would have felt far better than 3-0.
Yeah, you're right. But Edmundo Sosa has to put that in Rhys Hoskins' chest.
Correct. Agree entirely. He babied the throw.
Flat out.
He babied the throw. Yep, he babied the throw.
Yeah.
And he might have even caught Rhys off guard. Truly, he might have.
Well, Rhys tried to catch it with his hand this way, and that's why it hit him in the heel. You never catch a bounce like that.
Right.
Your glove's got to be the other way. Right. To get as much of the pocket on it as you can. I don't know what he was trying to do with that bounce, but
sure.
Not good either way.
No,
and yes, you're absolutely right. I was like, okay, they came out, they got excited, but 2-0 is no big deal. But just again, to give up it for no reason is why it felt so big.
The underrated part of that inning that really frustrated me was Matt Vierling not getting behind a ball. That's a really good play by Alvarez to notice that base, notice that he was kind of settling under it and not getting behind it. Because if he doesn't take that base, the run doesn't score there.
Here's a hot take. I don't want to see Matt Vierling hit for the rest of the World Series. I don't need to see him unless he's coming in to replace Kyle Schwarber or Nick Castellanos as a defensive substitution. I'd rather just leave Marsh there. I'll take it.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with that. I think honestly, I think the lineup needs to be the lineup. I like Edmundo Sosa enough. Yeah, but we'll get to this because I wrote his name down. Bryson Stott needs to play. I don't care.
Oh my God, he continues to just be unbelievable. I know he grounded out for the last out, but that pinch hit at bat.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll get into that. I want to kind of run through the rest of this Atlanta comparison, and he's involved in that too. So again, then they just kind of went stagnant. I don't know that there was ever a real threat tonight. I know they had runners on. I know there were runners on the entire night. I get it, but it never really felt like Fromber was in trouble.
Yeah. They just couldn't string it together.
No, it was just a lot of scattered stuff, and that happens from time to time. But then the bad luck kind of set in, right? So, you talked about the Stott walk. Okay, I just want to fast forward 5-6 years and see what Bryson Stott looks like.
Isn't it going to be unbelievable?
Because what this kid does right now, and we talked about we talked about it with Jack. Early on, just about swing decisions and stuff like that. This kid is unbelievable in his ability to recognize everything right now.
He's seeing all these major league pitchers for the first time.
Yeah,
just
and making guys like Castellanos and guys who have done it for a long time look silly.
Yeah, just think of him with 2 more years of seeing all these pitchers.
Yeah,
how much better He's starting off at a great foundation. He's allowing himself to just get on base. Again, is he really late on fastballs? Yes, but he does what he has to do and fouls balls off to stay alive and counts.
I think that's purposeful. I think when he gets drilled back into account, he's not trying to hit a fastball.
No,
because I think he knows he can't hit that fastball above.
Yeah,
so he's shortening up and just slapping it.
But I think that's where that development comes in. He's gonna get better at that.
Oh. He'll eventually hit it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is going to turn him into a monster.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. He's starting at such a great floor that when he because this is these guys do, right? They go back, they watch their at-bats, they understand, here's the things I need to work on in the offseason. Kevin Long will focus on that. You know what I mean? Like they'll continue to progress this. Like 2 years from now, Bryson Stott is going to be one of the hardest outs in baseball. Just like period.
Yeah, I mean he's already the hardest out in this series. I think.
Outside of maybe Bryce, like coming into it.
Yeah. I think so. So then he works his way on in that spot, and then Kyle Schwarber comes up.
Oh my gosh, man!
And Kyle, he worked a great at bat too.
Yeah.
I mean, he really battled and hit a ball that I knew he didn't think it was gone. And honestly, in regular speed, I didn't think it was gone either. And he's rounding the bases. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And certainly, like I at that point I was like, oh, he's gonna strike out.
That's
now.
what
like,
I
there's
thought
no
too. I said,
doubt in
I
my
told
mind.
my wife, I said, gosh, a strikeout would just be a bummer here.
And sure enough, the next pitch he hits, I'm like, that one's not gonna go foul. And
this much off the top of his bat, like this much.
Yeah. And you know what? That because so often you want to say how many stadiums is that gone in? It's only gone in one stadium. It's gone at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Right.
So that ball's not going anywhere else. But it's just that's when they say baseball's a game of inches and luck and things of that nature. And I believe that was the inning that I'm trying to remember what. So Reese struck out, and then JT did something there. Did he walk? He did something because it got to Bryce.
He got a hit.
Or was there nobody out?
No, it was first and third. Wasn't it? Are we talking about two different innings?
Somehow JT got on. Bryce hit that like looper that got caught. And again, like that reminded me so much of the Braves series where Pena goes out and makes a ridiculous catch.
Right.
To end the inning, almost like, the Austin Riley catch or the Dansby Swanson catch. Like those plays happen. And we skipped the inning before the Castellanos double that then led to the sac fly. If that's at Citizens Bank Park, Segura cuts the lead 5-2.
Yeah.
And also if we're playing at Citizens Bank Park, Alvarez's double in the first inning is caught.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of these variables that that left field fence, man, that thing bothers me.
It's weird.
It really does. We haven't taken advantage of it yet.
No,
they have.
We have not.
And I believe that we will eventually, but if we get back there, I don't know.
We won't. It's fine. We won't need to worry about it anymore.
I'm still sticking to it. But you mentioned it. I mean, even after, Schwarber hit in the 8th and he's on deck again in the 9th, this team will not give. And you know that the fans in that stadium are like, oh my gosh.
You and I thought the exact same thing. If this
Bryson
gets to
Stott got on,
this game is tied. Yep. This game 100%. Is tied. Yep.
Because again, and Regz, they're going to get to this bullpen. Like, they're this close.
Yeah.
And I know they haven't seen, like, again, they didn't see Abreu tonight.
But still, they didn't see their worst. That's their setup. That's their setup guy and their closer. Like, that's.
Listen, if they see Presley again in a safe situation, they're getting to him.
Yeah.
It kind of made me laugh that Castellanos turned and was like, it's flat. Hit the ball.
I know.
If it's
then
flat.
He just missed a meatball of 89 miles an hour.
Yeah, well, it was a change
right through
he thought he was going to see another fastball there, but I just think, there's so many things, we come in after a loss and we could be pounding the negative right now, but I don't feel like I have a lot of negative outside of the Nola Wheeler situation. Yeah. I agree. I don't think the offense has been that bad. I think they've had opportunities. They cash in at home. The opportunities have been there. And if you think again to the Atlanta series, they cashed in the first game, like they did here. They didn't cash in game 2.
Right.
They did not cash in game 2 tonight. And I do believe that those, like, McCullers is very good. He's not Fromber.
No.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He's not Fromber. I do think that, they'll get those opportunities in game 3 and game 4, and then Verlander would be game 5. And I think that they'll take advantage because the stadium seems to give this team life.
Yep.
And, you know, I think that they're going to be a real problem heading back home. They're the only team that has not lost at home now that they've beaten the Astros at home. I'm sure the Astros want to return the favor. But ultimately, a great job fighting back and getting in a position where, you know, the fans in that stadium didn't feel comfortable.
And
They didn't
another
feel
great
comfortable.
job by the bullpen.
I wanted to talk about that. I texted you during the game that, you know, baseball's so weird because no one would have believed us if at the beginning of this series we said Wheeler and Nola would give up 10 runs, but the bullpen would throw 8 2/3 of scoreless baseball.
Right. Yeah.
No one would have believed you.
Yeah, you would have said the Astros are up 2-0.
No one would have believed you.
If we have just said that Wheeler and Nola haven't made it past the 5th inning, anybody would have said, "Oh, well, the Phillies are losing 0-2, right?"
Right. Right. And I also want to point out that it wasn't just Alvarado Dominguez that did it. Tonight it was a Bilotti, Hand, and Brogdon combination.
Brogdon looked
like, and I think they
so
went 9
much
up,
better.
9 down.
Brogdon
They went
looks
9 up,
so
9
much
down.
better.
So for me, you know, if you get a good start here in the next 2 games, right? The bullpen has shown that they can shut this offense down.
Yep.
And Topper showed that he knows how to get these guys out with matchups.
Yep.
And I think, you know, you're coming into a start. We talked about this. Neither of these guys have pitched this far into the postseason before. And Topper's going game 3 with a guy who has. And a guy who's been good for us in the postseason so far.
Especially at home. I mean, only at home, really, but that's fine.
And I do like the switch. And the reason why I like the switch is because I think knowing what happens with the Syndergaard game gives you an idea of what you've got to do with your bullpen in the Suarez game. So you align your stars based on, because game 3 is now the most important game.
Yeah.
You got to win game 3.
Yeah.
So I think Topper believes that he can win a bullpen game with Thor going, with Syndergaard going. And I'd have to look back, Regz, and you know, while I do, I want to see if Syndergaard has a start against Houston this year. I want to see how he did and if he had any starts against Houston, because he pitched in Anaheim. So
yeah, right.
There is a chance he had one. While I do that, just talk a little bit to the bullpen and what they've been able to do against this this Houston lineup.
I think especially tonight, it was important because you used a lot of guys in game 1 to try and take advantage of your offense, bringing it back and giving you a chance to win. Tonight, on purpose, Thompson went to the guys he didn't use last time, but like by all accounts, these are not your 3 best guys, which is why they kind of didn't pitch last night. And for them to come in, and I think Bilotti has been just fine this postseason. He's come in a couple innings. He's gotten his outs. He really hasn't given up stuff. Brogdon was the one we were worried about. He was coming off pitching not well in the regular season. But came in tonight again against the heart of their lineup.
Yeah.
And stepped up.
Yeah. Got Alvarez.
Like, yeah, on some great pitches.
Yeah.
And then again, I don't like seeing Brad Hand in the game, especially to Alex Bregman, but he froze him on 2 fastballs and then threw a fantastic slider.
Yeah, that back footer got him. Yep.
He froze Bregman on those those first fastballs.
And then he got Tucker.
Yep. And then he comes in on that lefty where, you know, if he makes a mistake, it's going to be that Soto situation all over again.
Yeah.
He didn't make a mistake. He threw good pitches. So I think a lot's been said about the Houston depth, and it's not wrong. Like, it's not wrong. Their bullpen has been really, really good. But I think the key is that we're showing that our bullpen can still get it done.
Yep.
And I think also this offense is gaining confidence against theirs.
I'm telling you, they're going to get to him. They're going to get to them. I don't know when it'll be. I don't know what kind of spot it'll be in, but they're absolutely going to get
Like,
to
just
this
think how
bullpen in
6
way,
inches
shape, or
saved
form.
6 inches saved that guy.
Yeah.
6
Well, and it
inches.
saved him. And a foot saved him the inning before.
Exactly. So
And he is one of their dudes.
Yeah.
All right, I did find Thor had 2 starts against Houston in the regular season. He started against them on April 9th at home in LA. He went 5 1/3. He allowed 2 hits, no runs, walked 2, struck out 1. And then he started against them in July, and he went 4 innings, giving up 3 runs, walking 4. Honestly, Regs, I think I'd take either. Well, I'd clearly take the first one.
yeah, clearly.
But I believe I'd take the second one if I had the chance to. Here's what I believe happens. They're going to do the one time through the order thing with him.
Yep.
And then they'll plug the rest of the game.
Yeah, and hopefully that can be 2 1/3, 2 2/3. Like,
Right.
you know, hopefully it just gets them.
Yeah, he just gets them through. He gets them through the real issue, and we'll jump to this then. Is Jose Altuve getting hot is not good.
No, it's not good. I don't like it.
Three hits tonight,
I don't
not
like
good.
it. I don't like it.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is probably the right move. The other thing I'd be curious about is, do they piggyback with Gibson in this game at all? He hasn't pitched at all,
I know.
but he's
My
also
guess,
someone who's familiar with some of these guys.
If I had to guess, I say they would go to Nelson to try and eat up some innings.
I mean, again, they could go to Bellotti or Brogdon again too,
they could.
because both of them threw like no pitches
I
and they have
just
a day
think if
off
they were
tomorrow.
going to use Gibson, it would have to be in this kind of situation with Thor. Like, they just start him so he can go through his normal routine.
Yeah. And he hasn't pitched in forever.
Right. And be
Well,
ready.
he pitched a little bit in the Padres series in the game they lost.
Yeah, but again, like, I think if you want to set Kyle Gibson up, he has to be in his normal routine, starting the game. That would be my thought, at least.
Correct. So real quickly, let's touch on a little bit of the Houston side of things. Jose Altuve getting hot is the worst thing that could happen for the Phillies.
Yeah.
He is such a game changer offensively. I hope tonight was an enigma type of game. I
think one of the things that Smoltz has done really well is he's talked about where each hitter is vulnerable and what the pitchers have to do to like keep them off balance. None of our pitchers did anything to keep Jose Altuve off balance tonight.
Correct.
Wheeler started him with an inside fastball. He's been swinging at everything away off the plate.
Yeah.
You know? And he got pitches in tonight and he hit them. Like, he's Jose Altuve. He's a good baseball player.
Yep.
So I think if they can execute better, he's not, I don't think we'll see a ton more 3 for 4 nights.
No, and I think a lot of it. You're
But
right. I think a lot of it was that
frightening.
Yeah, no,
because
he's terrifying.
I don't want it to. Please God, not that guy.
Yeah, he's terrifying. Because again, last night it was Kyle Tucker. Tonight it felt like it was very much the Jose Altuve show, and then Alex Bregman put one high off the train tracks.
He just continued to stay hot. He's been good this whole postseason.
So Lance McCullers gets to start against the Phils. He's the guy who started the game against the Phillies the night that they clinched. The Phillies scored 1 run in 6 innings against him. It was the Kyle Schwarber homer to the opposite field to lead off the game. Well, I think it was the first pitch of the game, actually.
It was.
And they didn't do much after that. He's been really, really good since he's gotten back this season. He only started 8 games. He came back in the middle of August, and he's been really, really good since getting back. Now, granted, when you look through who he started against the Angels twice, Oakland twice, Baltimore once, and Tampa once, aside from us. So maybe not your best tier of competition, but if you look at his postseason numbers, he's been pretty good. for the most part here, as you look just at the overall numbers, no wins, no losses, 2.45 ERA in 11 innings, 13 strikeouts, and a 1.18 WHIP. So, definitely not an easy matchup. But one thing that struck me tonight, Regs, during the game was, I don't know if it was Davis or if it was Smoltz who said, the rest of this series really leans advantage-wise toward the Astros because of their starting pitching depth. Well, didn't the rest of the Braves series lead toward the Braves because of their starting pitching depth? And didn't the rest of the Padres series lean toward the Padres because of their starting pitching depth?
Yes.
The variable being that those starting pitchers don't understand the challenge of pitching at Citizens Bank Park in October.
Nope.
And Lance McCullers is about to find out. He's about to find out what it sounds like on Monday night to pitch at Citizens Bank Park. And
Lance.
Yeah, I really, honestly, Regs, I just think it's going to be cheaters all game.
Yeah.
I really do. I just think it's going to be cheaters all game.
I mean, you're absolutely right, though. It's been the same narrative since the Atlanta series.
It's always that conversation.
And then this offense turns it up at home.
Yeah.
And that's what I fully expect them to do, the same thing.
Yeah, I do too. I really, really do. I think clearly the only series that wasn't possible was St. Louis, and they took care of business there.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that playing at Citizens Bank Park is gonna put this team on a different high.
I just keep going back to, if this was any other, let's just say this was the Dodgers playing the Astros.
Yeah.
Like, all you would be talking about is that they got a split away.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that even the best team in baseball would be looking to do of the first two games of the World Series.
Yeah.
The Phillies have gone into this World Series heavy underdogs against a team that no one thinks they can beat because they're the machine.
Both games, all the Fox pregame guys picked the Astros.
Yeah. And listen, again, it would be no different if the Dodgers were coming into Houston. All you would talk about is that if they get one and flip home field advantage, the advantage goes back to the other team. But that hasn't been the narrative with this Phillies team.
Yeah.
Because they've been underdogs to every team that they've played.
Yeah.
And they've continued to prove that doesn't matter.
Right.
That if they do what every other baseball team would want to do in the first two away games of the World Series, like, we can bring it back to CBP where these other teams aren't prepared for what that stadium has to offer.
Correct.
So, like, I just keep going back to that. Again, if I was a Dodgers fan, all I would want is one win. And that's what the Phillies have gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, it's fantastic. It's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah. I think, the other thing that struck me tonight, and I think it was Davis who said it, something to the extent of this team, they haven't had to play in a long series yet. They've played 7-game series already. That was against San Diego. I get they won in 5.
Yeah.
But that's still best of 7.
Right.
Right? Like,
and hey,
they did the job they had to do.
If you win really fast, you don't need to go to 7 games. What are you talking about? Like, they should lose on purpose just to give them the experience of going to game 7. Like,
I understand. I think his point was, if it gets to a game 6, we'll struggle. And I think the answer's I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
But
I'll
who the hell
keep taking
knows?
4-1 wins in series.
Like, we'll see what happens in Philly, because I'll tell you what, if they win game 1, when you're there on Tuesday, that place is going to be even more raucous than it was on Monday.
Yeah.
And if
we
guys
win again, you're going to see
Wednesday, it's going to be out of control.
You might shake the stadium down.
It's going to be out of control. So again, like each night builds on the next, and there's not going to be a Philly fan in the stadium on Monday that's going to be like concerned about coming home 1-1. If it was a 2-2 series or a 2-0 series, people would feel very differently.
Yes.
People would be, it would be sitting on pins and needles.
Exactly.
Like, but it's not going to be that way. And again, Thor is a guy who has done this before, and he's certainly going to come out the same way he's come out in every game that he's pitched in so far, with a ton of confidence in getting the job done and winning the inning, because that's all he needs to do is win the inning and let the offense do what they do best at home, which is jump out early. They have jumped out early in pretty much every home game except for that Padres game.
Yep.
That was it.
Yeah.
That Padres game that we were both at, they've jumped out early in all those games.
Yep.
So,
and then
again,
they proved that no matter what deficit, they can still come back.
And they almost did that on the road, and they did it on the road last night, and they almost did it on the road again tonight. Like, this team just believes so much in each other. I read a great tweet tonight. Do you remember Trevor Plouffe?
Kind of. Why is that name familiar?
He was the third baseman in the bigs. He was the third baseman in the bigs for a while. I don't know where this person heard this. I think maybe on his podcast, because he has a podcast. And he said, one day I'll ask Gibby, so our guy Gibby, for permission to share his text about the Phillies' chemistry. All he would say is Gibby doesn't gas things up, and says the team truly loves each other and has a blast together. So I really hope one day he does get permission from Kyle Gibson to release those, because I'd love to know exactly what it is. But this team does play for each other, man. Like they clearly care about the next guy.
Yeah.
And I do believe that at the end of all of this, we're going to be celebrating. Because again, they did what they had to do on the road. And I feel like we're having the same conversation that we had last week, 2 weeks ago.
We are.
When we said, you know what, we would have, and we had the same conversation last night, just like, oh, we could go up 2-0, and we didn't.
Yeah.
And that night I said to you, they did what they had to do. It's okay. We'll be fine. It's not gonna feel good for a little bit. We got to move past like oh, that sucked mentality. And that one sucked more because we were winning in that game.
Yeah.
This one we were never winning, so I think it sucks a little bit less.
Sure.
But we'd feel a lot worse right now if we were sitting here 2-0.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Especially if we had lost both games like 5-1.
Yep.
The fact, listen, the looks that his teammates were giving Kyle Schwarber tonight probably tells you all you need to know about if these guys still feel like they can win.
Yeah.
Every one of them looked at him and it was just like, like, dude, we're all good. Like, that's how close these dudes got so lucky that you missed twice by less than 2 feet. Like, that's their mentality. Their mentality isn't like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. How are we ever going to catch a break? Like, they all weren't like patting them on the back. Like, I'm sorry you lost a loved one. You know what I mean? Every look was just like,
Yep. And that's the thing. I actually saw a Yankee fan tweet out tonight something to the extent of like, the difference between the Phillies and the Yankees is that once the Yankees got behind the Astros, they mailed it in. The Phillies just won't mail it in.
Yeah, they won't.
They're always knocking on the door. They're always putting together pesky at bats, unless it's Castellanos who swings early. The rest of them put together really pesky at bats.
Yeah.
And now, again, I get it. The depth is there. But Topper has been nothing but masterful in managing their lack of depth. And I do believe that they're going to be a problem at home. And clearly they need to win 2 at home. They have to.
Yeah.
If they get the first one, I feel like that happens.
I think you're absolutely right. This next game is the most important.
You got to
because-
win this one, and there's a reason Topper's going Syndergaard.
Yeah,
there's a
because
reason. I don't know what it is.
If
but
the
there's a reason.
momentum, like you said, in every day of that stadium can build up to Game 5, we will be celebrating a World Series at home.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if they win tomorrow, if they win Monday, the excitement in that city is going to grow. Now imagine the Eagles win. Imagine an Eagles win, right? And then a Phillies win on Monday, and a Phillies win on Tuesday.
The Eagles are
and
playing.
a Phillies win on Wednesday, and then an Eagles win on Thursday. Forget it. The city's going to explode.
Yeah, the city will just turn into a match.
So I mean, look, man, we're we get the day off tomorrow from the Phils. We can breathe a little bit. It's a good breathe. I know Houston's probably saying the same thing but for very different reasons. They're saying that they can breathe because they're not down 2-0.
That's right.
We're saying we can breathe because it's a 5-game series and we got 3 games at home.
And they have no idea what's coming.
No,
no idea.
Again, and look. I'm sure they've heard. I'm sure that it's been discussed. These guys talk. So I'm sure someone from San Diego has reached out to someone, but there's no way you can actually explain it until you experience it. There were a couple times tonight where you saw the pitcher.
Yeah.
Or, Bregman putting his glove over his ear. Good for him.
You know why? Because their crowd got so excited that they didn't blow it because a foul ball, like the ball went 6 inches to the right of the foul pole.
Yeah.
They weren't excited because it was like 2 strikes. They were excited because they got as lucky as possible. That
and it's
place
probably
was
the loudest it's ever been in that stadium.
That place was a joke.
Yeah, it's probably the loudest it's ever been in that stadium. And that's nowhere near what it's going to be at Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near
it. It was because Kyle Schwarber missed a home run by 6 inches twice. That's why that place got excited. Not because their pitcher was like mowing them down. Not because they were all jacked up that they were getting a bunch of hits. It was the loudest in that place because Kyle Schwarber missed a home run by a total of 2 feet.
And Monday night, the first time Noah Syndergaard gets 2 strikes on. Well, and I'll be honest, they don't let you get 2 strikes very often. They swing early.
Yeah.
But if for some reason they do let them get 2 strikes, that place is going to be
or 2 quick outs
Yep, exactly. It's just a different animal. And I'm excited to get back home and let these guys do what they do at home, which is mash.
That's right.
And play off the momentum and the noise level of the crowd. So, I mean, look, 1-1 going home, buddy.
I can't
1-1
wait.
going home. Can't ask for much more than that.
They did the job. They did the job.
Did what they had to do. Tonight would have been a bonus, but didn't need it.
Right.
Didn't need it. And I look forward to kind of scrolling through social media tonight and reading some of the stuff about, Topper's quotes, Wheeler's quotes, some of the other guys, and just get a vibe for where they're at. Because if I know this team, they're going to be loose coming home, best of 5, 3 at home.
Can't wait.
3 in the place they know they can win in. So
can't wait.
All right, well, guys, thanks so much for listening to the recap episode of Game 2. We'll be back on Monday night after Game 3 on Halloween, Regz. Halloween, you trick-or-treating?
We are, just in our neighborhood, so.
Nice, okay. Is it 6 to 8?
Probably, I don't know.
Yeah, back by 8:03?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you can pause, we can sync up, because, dude, guys, this guy ruins plays for me.
Azzy, what is wrong with your cable? It's a
nationally
televised game.
I have Xfinity. I don't know.
Why? I don't. Oh, God. All right. We're gonna text the first 2 pitches. I'm gonna text you when mine hit the glove, and then you're gonna say, "All right, you're a pitch and a half ahead," so I know what to do.
Okay.
Because I'm just shooting blind right now. I just get excited and I shoot you a text, and then.
But here's the funny thing. I texted you in the first inning to say, "Oh, you're like a whole pitch ahead of me." And then literally it was like the second batter of the game. And you did so well all game. And then you did it again when Stock rounded out to end the game. I was like, what the hell's he doing?
I thought I forgot. I'm going to be honest. I forgot. I was good the whole game and then I forgot. Okay. I'm not a perfect person.
So good. So good. All
We
right,
start
guys. Well, thanks
GoFundMe
again.
for Azzy's internet and Azzy's cable to get it synced up to us down here in Maryland.
Or in the higher, the upper echelon of this world. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you click subscribe. We're going to put this one on
We
YouTube
are.
because Regz is recording. So click subscribe below. Make sure you subscribe to us on all of your podcast platforms. Make sure you rate us. I think we added an extra rating in Spotify, which
Love
is pretty
it.
cool. But yeah, make sure you do that. And certainly make sure that you follow us on Instagram at B&B Pods. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at B&B Pods and on at the Phixated Pod. You can follow me at the Mic Drop 5, and you can follow Regz at Big Regz with a Z. Follow the Phixated fan page, which is at 90 exactly. We gotta
Ooh.
boost it to 100.
We can
gotta
do it.
get it there. Yeah, I think we can too. Make sure you click the link in the description for the merchandise as well. And guys, you know what? Like, take a deep breath. It's all good.
It's all good.
1-1. We're fine. We're fine. So we'll talk to you again on Monday night. In the meantime, be good. Be kind to someone. We love you. We thank you for listening. Take care, everybody. Go Phils. Go Birds. But really, go Phils.
Go Birds. But go Bills.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.